Yo, Pierre, you want to come out here?
Excellent. All right. Well, welcome to a new episode of the Opportunity Knocks podcast.
Yes,
we have a celebrity guest on today. He actually has the honor of being the first guest with a Wikipedia page, which is pretty cool, right?
Awesome.
He's played in the NFL. He's played in the CFL. His name is Lirim, and he's been kind enough to join us here and tell us a little bit about his career. And most importantly, what I want to know about is kind of the mental game that goes into being a kicker. So just quickly going through kind of your career here. So you came to Canada and you grew up in St. Catharines, but before that, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, like you said, I came to Canada when I was 9 years old, and that was because of the war in 1999, which was between like Serbia, Croatia, Bosnia, and then eventually they made it to Kosovo, small little country north of Macedonia and Greece. So we were really lucky, to be honest, because I was 8 years old, turning 9 at that point, and I still remember the day like Serbian soldiers surrounding our little town with snipers around, and so like they told us, hey, you guys got 24 hours to gather your belongings and leave. So we're like, all right, we're going towards Bulgaria then. So, but in order to get to Bulgaria, you have to go through the Serbian border, and then within probably 20, 30 kilometers is the Bulgarian border.
Yeah.
And so we get to the border, they're like, yeah, we're not letting you in here. So they sent us back to our town. So then we pleaded with the soldiers there to give us another, some time. And so we didn't know what was going to happen. And after a week, they're like, listen, you guys are going to, everyone's got to leave, because some of the relatives, older relatives are like, hey, if I'm going to stay here. Like if I come, I'm just going to stay in my home. But the second time around, they're like, yeah, if you stay, we're going to,
it's not
kill you.
Good.
Yeah, it's not going to be good. And so everyone came, and we were supposed to go towards the northwest of Kosovo, and unfortunately, that area was where all the conflict had started. So we knew if we're going that way, they're just waiting for us.
Yeah.
And so head of our little town decided to dip south towards Macedonia, and there's some refugee camps, and we got super lucky. We were able to cross the border, and from there, our names actually came up, and because you can sign up, you want to go to Australia, whoever was accepting refugees, right? And so it was like U.S., Canada, Australia were the most accepting to get your passports.
Yeah.
My dad, for some reason, always wanted to come to Canada. He has a few uncles here. So he always had, we had done passport pictures that we wanted to immigrate to Canada before the war even happened.
Yeah.
And so, but Canada was really hard to get into in comparison to the States. States was like, you sign up, you're going.
Interesting.
So, but we put our names for the States, both my dad's family, like us and my two sisters and our uncle. So there was 9 of us total going to the States. And then last minute, one of my dad's uncles, get your names out of there, put it in the Canadian database. He's been calling the embassy every single day trying to get through through Ottawa, and we were the last 9 people on the last plane that Canada was accepting for refugees. So we're literally at the bottom. Right? Yeah, it wasn't even alphabetical. It was first come, first served type of thing, and we were the last 9 people to come there. And then, fortunately enough, we had a big family of relatives who had the same last name as us, and so there was other people that took our positions to go to the States, and they're in actually North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll explain a little bit later once we start talking about the NFL of how all that links in. But I think you can see where this is going.
Yeah.
But we got super lucky. Lived in Kingston in the air base there for probably about 3-4 months until August, and then we moved to St. Catharines, and that's where I kind of started. Didn't realize there was no soccer here. There's you played once a week, you practiced once a week, whereas in Europe it was every single day, every single break you had at school. So I think when it came to playing different sport, I was wanted to try something else. I started playing basketball. I just needed that activity because I wasn't used to one practice for 1 hour on a Tuesday and playing on a Saturday.
It was an all-day thing, right?
Yeah, after school, between school, at lunch break, we were always playing soccer, some form of it,
Yeah.
So I think that's where it led me to falling in love with football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that age, are you really able to process what's going on? You know, you said you're 9 years old.
Yeah. Like, I think at that, I think I was like, it hit home, to be honest, the second time when like we had like a tractor and a couple of cars. So, we put like all like, flour, sugar, like salt and all these different necessities, because we didn't know if we were going to be like just dipping into the middle of the mountains or how is it going to be. And then I think the one moment that like really hit home was my dad was like, you know, here's some pictures. We're going to bury it underground behind this shed, just so in case we don't make it, you'll remember us by these pictures. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Jeez.
like as a like 8-year-old hearing
That's
that,
heavy.
you know, that was really heavy. And I think that's when it was like clicked in, because we saw snipers and like we couldn't move for that whole week.
Yeah.
And every night they were like shooting, so we didn't know if they were like aiming somebody, if they were just doing it just to scare us. Like
Just psychologically, that's got to be.
Yeah, like it was because even when we were leaving out of the town, we saw tanks coming in, houses being burnt, so we knew like there was no coming back to this.
Yeah.
So I think I still remember like that day and those moments, and you know, I think that's why I'm like so appreciative of living in Canada, in a free country, being able to jump in a car, go anywhere I want, walk down the street without worry. So that's a big portion of like why I really love Canada and the opportunities we get here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And do you find, maybe this is a personal question,
Sure.
but do you find that you go back to that situation, those memories in hard times, and maybe when you have doubt to kind of ground yourself, or is it something you try to maybe suppress?
No, I definitely don't suppress it. I think I use it more from like my parents, and even my wife's from there too. And it's like, what did they have to go through? Like, imagine like you have your kids and you're trying to escape this. It's like, if I was put in that position today, man, like that's a really hard pill to swallow, because like you don't know what's going to happen. It's a war.
Yeah.
You know, like I think I look at from more their lens of like what they had to go through to like come here and take the risk and everything else.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like, if I can survive that, I can survive anything else. It's like, you know, if I can handle someone like on the second time when we were at to leave, like in the morning of, they lined us up in the middle of the street behind a wall, and the soldiers were going back and forth like AK-47s, and like, and they asked like everyone is like, if you have your car keys or if you have any knives or any sharp object, you got to throw them across the street. And then people were like, all right, well, they're just going to turn and just open fire.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have those type of moments as a kid to go through that, it's like, you know, I remember someone asked me like when I got to Dallas, like, are you nervous for like, you know, this game's a little bit faster and this and that. I was like, man, we've had AK-47 snipers pointed at us. You know, like to put this in perspective, it's like, you know, I'm going out there to do my job, and like I think that's why, and we'll get into it more on a mental level of like, I think that's why I think I can play at these different levels of football, because I've been trained, fortunately and unfortunately, throughout my years to like be able to handle the type of pressure and stress. Well,
it's interesting to juxtapose those two things, and this horrible, horrific thing has maybe made you better at something that, you know, you love and enjoy, and it's, you know, you've gone from this horror to this incredible level of, you know, achievement and ability to go out there and perform, and to think that they're somehow related in some weird ways.
Yeah, and but it's just like the opportunity, like to be able to live here in Canada, and even like I did a talk at there's an army in New Jersey, West Point.
Okay.
So during COVID, I did a talk with them, and because U.S. and Britain and even Canada were really involved in the freedom of Kosovo during that time, and if it wasn't for them, like I wouldn't be here today. And it's just kind of you know, being able to say thank you to those people that have served for us, for our freedom and my freedom. And, you know, I'm looking at this as an opportunity for me. It's like, I could not be here today, but because I am, I'm going to make sure I take full advantage of this. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and it's times like this where, you know, I can go after my dreams, and like the NFL situation, we can get into that a little bit more of like, taking that risk of not playing and being able to reach your goals and what that means. It's like I can do those things because I feel like I need to do that. You know what I mean? So
You have all this potential, right?
Yeah.
You have to live up to it.
Yeah. I mean, someone had sent it once, is like, so you're playing with like house money, basically. It's like, I don't want to put it that way. Like, I still, I'm very appreciative of my life. I want to say a house money, but, I look at life in a different lens.
Yes, sir.
So.
Okay, so now you're in St. Catharines, and soccer's not that popular. So you're looking for, well, I guess, a new language, new crowd to hang out with, new sports. And just reading your bio earlier, it said the high school football coach sees you as this like physical specimen. He's like, you got to come and play for the team. Is that kind of how it went?
Yeah, like in grade, like I didn't know much about football. I remember watching the Super Bowl with friends, like, but I didn't know much about it. And I just always thought, oh, kicker. Oh, okay, like I kick a ball far.
Yeah.
Like, and then this guy, this teacher of mine, Darcy McCardle, he like, in grade 9, because I went to play volleyball first, then basketball, then soccer. And he's like, you got to come out, because he was trying to recruit guys. Because, a lot of guys would play in their 12th or come back here in grade 13.
Yeah.
And he's like, come out earlier. And then, like, all year, it's like, when you come out for football, we have a kicking position, this and that. Yeah. And then one day, he was like, all right, Lirim, I'm going to reason with you. You come for one practice next year in September. And if you don't like football, I will never bug you again.
Okay.
And that's all it took. And then from the first day, it was like, I have big legs from soccer and kicking the ball far. Yeah. So they wanted to put me a running back because it'd be hard to tackle me. And by the end of grade 12 or grade 13, because I came back for a year, like I was never coming off the field. I played running back. I played O-line. I played linebacker, D-line. Yeah. Like we're a smaller school, 900 kids, right? So we were very versatile in that point, but like, it just fell in love with the game. And I think going back to that soccer situation, it's like in Europe, we played soccer every single day. And then you have practice every single day in football from like 3 o'clock to like 5:36. So I think it's kind of, for me, it resonated that missing piece in my life in terms of, because I love the grind. I love and I don't even call it the grind because like I truly enjoy the preparation of sports, right? Working hard and being able to do all these things. And so for me, that was kind of the idea behind it. It's like, I'll do this 5 times a week. And then on the 5th day we play a game. This is awesome. And, and they obviously like pump my tires in terms of getting me to you're a great blocker, like you have
following through on the sale.
They're a great salesman, so it made you feel good. But again, it's like football is one of those sports where it's you have guys that are like 150 pounds soaking wet, and you have guys that are like in high school like 220, 30 pounds. And what other team would they play with each other, or how would those two groups of bodies meet each other? Not going to meet each other in the volleyball court, nor basketball, nor soccer, because that's going to require you to be skinny, fast, and can jump high. Yeah. Right. Where now you have a sport that doesn't discriminate against their size or their body weight or anything. So you really build that camaraderie among the other football players and other students from grade 9 to grade 12, because like the other sports are junior, senior. So grade 9, 10 or 11, 12, where this opens you the spectrum of you've gotten 60, 70 new friends.
Yeah. And humbling too, because there's some guy who's probably in grade 12, grade 13, and you're like a grade 9, grade 10.
Like in grade 11, I was like put on the O-lineman, and I played right tackle, right guard. Right guard, because the right tackle, he was a big guy, like 6'7", and he's like, Lirim, if there's some big guy, just push him my way and I'll help you. He'll hold 2 guys, but if you can handle your own, take your own. But stuff like that just like, and then I would never talk to that guy. Really, might say hi on like in the hallway or something, but we never really had anything in common. But now that we're playing football together, we do, right? So I think that made me enjoy football a little bit more, because I'm an outgoing guy. I love sports. That's how I learned the English language. Is like by playing sports. Like that was my gateway to like, how can I learn this language faster so I can communicate with them? Yeah.
And do you think the violence aspect of football increases the cohesion? It's like we're all in the trenches together, sort of thing.
I think so. Yeah. Like I think that plays a big part of it, and it's like the masculinity comes out of like the guys that are playing, and like you're like at that time we used to do the gauntlet where you literally like lay on your back, turn around and just smoke someone as hard as you can. One guy had the ball, one guy didn't. Like I remember getting my head wrong, like, and the coach was like, "You guys okay?" Yeah, like just seeing some stars, and I keep hearing like a buzzing noise in my head. It's like, all right, just take 5 minutes off, and then when you guys are ready, come back in. And it's like, well, I'm not going to be a little baby. I'm going back in because like we didn't know much better for like concussions at that time. And it's, now it's like everything is a little bit more educated and understanding what to do. And I think the game has changed in terms of with the helmets being a little bit better, the coaching being a little bit better, because we understand how to prevent these things. The rules have changed for that too. Now we see that in the NFL a lot too. Yeah.
And so after high school, you go and you play university ball. So tell us about that transition. Was there this period that a lot of people in that age range kind of go through where they're just like, where am I going to go? What's this next stage of my life going to look like? So what were you like at that point?
Yeah, like when I was in grade 12, I went with those, with Coach McCardle, Coach Brophy. He was the other football coach at the school. And we went to the Ontario, I guess like the OFSA of football. But our school was too small to be able to go there, but all the schools would be there. So we took the day trip, and literally it was us three. We went to where the Jays play. Is
it the Air Canada?
Rogers Center. Rogers Center, yeah. I forget what it was called before. Anyways, we went there and we met Laurier, met Queens, met all these schools. And then I was supposed to go to Queens coming out of grade 12. And then we had a few buddies of mine that were a year above me, played basketball, went to Western, and they had the Ivy School of Business there. And so I was like committed to go to Queens, and, I was ready to go. And then like all my friends are coming back for one more year. Yeah. I'm like, I still want to play. I still want to get my grades up a little higher, see if I can get some more scholarship money. Because I knew if I moved away, I need to have a scholarship, just because it'd be a little bit harder to afford. And so I came back for an extra year. And during that time, I went to visit Western, and my kicking coach was helping a couple of guys that were going there, and went on a couple of recruiting trips, and just felt really at home. I had some comfortability from the guys that were there from my basketball team from St. Catharines.
Yeah.
They were telling me how great it is. Went a couple of nights to visit them, and just to kind of understand like what's my day-to-day life there, and just felt really at home. I was accepted the pre-IVO program too, so that helped with like, I have a plan now.
Yeah.
And then once I committed there, then there was like Team Canada that summer. So having that jump of going from high school, the game changes because now these guys are working out like with a professional strength and conditioning coach, like
2-3 times a day.
2-3 times a day, but like every day of the week. And so now it's like, how do I best prepare myself? And there was Team Canada. So I wanted to try it out on Team Ontario, and I found out I was too old because you couldn't be like I had turned 19 by the summer, and you couldn't be 19. You had to be 18 or under.
Yeah.
And so, and they're like, oh, you can't play for Team Ontario, but there is this Team Canada tryout. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So I went there and tried out and was able to make the team and got to experience that. And, we lost the states. It was
Sounds like, is that a common thing?
Yeah. But we both timed for junior and senior because I did the senior team too. And in junior, I just remember the running back was, I think he was at Virginia Tech, ended up playing for the Giants for like 5-6 years of running back, David Wilson. And I just remember he ran like a 6-yard touchdown and just does a flip at the end to get into the end zone. And it's like, but it was a great experience for me to kind of like, okay, that's like that transition to university and have that exposure. And then, like Western was a really great opportunity for me to kind of build my career there, and was able to do some great things and break a few records. There was records that were held for 20, 30 years. I break them, and then 2 years later, someone else break mine. I was thinking I was going to be a living legend. Thought I was going to be a living legend in the university space, but the records are meant to be broken. And but I had a really good experience at Western.
And were you playing as a kicker at that point, or?
Yeah. Once I got to university, it was just kicker and punter. The first couple of years, I only played as a kicker, and then once the punter graduated, a very close friend of mine and my mentor and one of my kicking coaches to this day, he graduated and kind of gave me the realm, and he still stuck around to help me for my 4th and 5th year. And I know he was a big component of me going pro, and is still to this day of, I use him as like, whether it's life, whether it's for business, whether it's for sports, like I can count on Daryl Wheeler to pick up the phone at like 2 a.m. if I need him. So he was there, and he helped me. He ended up becoming the kicking coach at Western. So kind of really helped me get to that next stage of like, because I didn't get drafted to the CFL out of my 4th year. So I was like, okay, what do we need to do for me to get to the CFL? So I came back, did a master's because I was graduated already, and it's like, what do we need to do? And it's that, like any business owner or any athlete, you hear about them sacrificing time. It's like we found, like, cause what was the problem was we never were able to. We had one one time a week where we can go to like an indoor facility with our team.
Yeah.
And even then we wouldn't have as much space because you'd have DBs and wide receivers and everyone and all linemen sharing the field, and then you're indoors. Even though you have a full field, it's still, you need some room for uprights to kick and punt.
Are you kicking over their head while they're
sometimes, like when we're doing their walkthrough, like, they trust us and they'd understand, like, we need to get our work done too. Yeah. We'd always go on the defensive side, that is, because they're always more cooler. Yeah. The offense guys, like, they're throwing and running, and it's like, and also Coach Marshall was the offensive side, so it's like you miss hit a punt, it goes in, on their stuff. It's like, you don't want to be near that, but we found another time, and it was Saturday nights at like 10:30 till 12.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, do I go out with my friends, or do I go kick and train and go after my dreams of playing professionally? Yeah. So like all of 4th year and 5th year, because Daryl was still trying to make it pro too. So it was like, we need to kind of build something here where we can, go after our dreams. And that way, like, we have to sacrifice, Western's a party school. Mm-hmm. We know that. Yeah,
you can have a lot of fun.
You have a lot of fun, but it's like there's other days of the week where you can do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we sacrifice those Saturdays to go and build, our technique and grind and like the will to get to the next level. And I think that really paid dividends in that early stage. So and it helped me to kind of get to the next level. So
how does doubt and belief play into your head at that point? Because you don't know you're going to go on to have this career. Yeah. You're coming to the end of your ability to play at the university level. And is there doubt? Is there belief?
I like the doubt creeps in. Is like 2 guys get drafted before me, and it was May 6th, 2013. I remember that day specifically, right? Yeah. And you hear a lot of guys like Draymond Green and these guys, they can name everyone who got drafted ahead of them. Yeah. Right. So it's like, all right. And why didn't I get drafted? So I need to know, because the doubt is like, why not me? Because I personally believe that I'm better than both those guys. Yeah. And so the East-West Bowl, which is like the top 3rd-year players that are kind of potentially going to be on the draft board for the following year, happened to be at Western that year. And so the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Kyle Walters, which is still there, the GM there, he was there, and I went to him and I said, hey, like, 'cause he was also one of the coaches from Team Canada. So I had a kind of a good relation with him. And I'm like, and I went straight up to him. I'm like, what do I need to do to be able to play for you or any other team in the CFL? Yeah. He's like, you know what, Lirim, like, you've had a lot of great success in field goal kicking. You had one year that was kind of a little bit low, but I think if you come back for another year and you can show it, and you only had 1 year of punting, and as a Canadian, we want to see you do all 3 or have the ability to do all 3 if we need you. Yeah. So I think if you come back for an extra year and work on your punting this summer and blah, 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 that's all I needed to hear. Yeah. So that the belief is like, I know I'm better. Mm-hmm. The reason why is because I know I work harder than everyone else. And if I can work harder than everyone else, then I know I can play at that next level. Because I look at guys, I talk to them, I figure out, like, if he's doing that, then I need to. Same as like that Mamba mentality with Kobe Bryant. Yeah. It was like the top guys practice twice a day in the off season. So for him, is like, I can get a third better every season if I had a third workout during my day. So he'd wake up at 4 a.m., do a workout, come back, have breakfast, go with his kids, take them to school, second workout, and then have lunch and have his third workout, and then come back and spend time with his family. Yeah. So that was the same mindset for me. It was like, before this was coming out, right, in the last few years, it was like, what do I need to do better to put myself in best position? Okay. Well, Kyle said I need to have better punting. Kyle said I need to have a little more better experience. Coming back, I was able to break like the all-time points record for all positions in U Sports history. Yeah. Field goal, same thing. And so, like, I was getting some national attention when it came to that. So, and when it came to playoffs, we missed both between Daryl and I, because he was kicker in my first year, and then from second year to 5th year, like we had a round at Western where we missed one field goal, which was my fault. We had one field goal that we missed in the playoffs over like a 7 or 8 year period.
That's nuts.
You know what I mean? So
cool.
like, it's like I have this track record now. That's where the belief is coming in because I'm working hard and I can see the ball going through the uprights every single time.
Yeah.
So now it's like that doubt is creeping away. And then so what happens? Like we lose the national semifinals in Calgary on the Saturday, fly back that night, and then the Monday morning, Kyle Walters, hey, we're going to sign you. You know what I mean? So like that's when everything came to fruition, and it's like, okay, all this stuff paid off now.
And what was the rush of emotion? And
like, you know, it's like same thing as when we won the Grey Cup in 2017. Is like, you know, like you get this weight off your shoulders, knowing that like all the hard work, every like rep you took on the bench, every rep you took on under the squat bar, like every kick you made, every punt you made, everything that you've done is like, it's coming to fruition.
Yeah. Just flashes before your eyes.
Yeah. And then it's like, you made it. Mm-hmm. But now the real hard work starts because you got to make the team. But you've gotten that contract, right? Now it's like you have something to plan for. And that was the biggest thing. You know? So that was a big rush for me, and sense of accomplishment that I was able to overcome a year ago, or not even 6 months ago, that, you know, I didn't get chosen for. Yeah.
So you go and you start playing in the CFL.
Yeah.
And is that a huge transition for you? Or are you just staying in that same routine, same mindset going into there?
Yeah. And so when I did my master's, right before we get to that, I studied. So I was going to come back and do a master's in sports management with a sports psych crossover. Okay. And because I had graduated, I didn't want to come back for 3 classes and then be done. Yeah. And I signed a 12-month lease for a place to stay. Yeah. So one of the professors, he had said, you know, come back, do a master's with me, and this is what I think where you can fit to do like something around kicking. Yeah. Like do a kind of
for your master's.
For my master's.
Cool. All right.
So we took sports management classes, took psych classes, and I had to do a dissertation of like how to prepare as a kicker. So that I had to do a lot of like mental preparation before game, after games. Yeah. And so I really practiced that through that and brought it to the CFL. So it made the transition a lot easier based on practice last 5 years and based on the last year of studying this. And you always did a little bit, you learned it, but I was actually able to look at different studies that were done by like doctors of how to do this, and they've looked at athletes. So
to get the science part of it as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So it made that transition a lot easier because I was prepared.
It's always interesting when you can have a passion project and do that deep dive on the academic side of things, and then go out there and live the life, you know, out on the field. And you're probably one of only the few people in the world that have been able to do those things kind of side by side, right?
Yeah. Well, it's either now it's like you have all with social media. Like I think it's really vamped up where a lot of these professional athletes have these people in their corner. I remember there was a 2012 Olympics. I think it was a rower from England or Sweden, somewhere in the Scandinavian European countries. Yeah. And he had written like a thank you, or it was on his shirt of like all the people that helped him. And it was down to the point where it was an opera like singer that was part of his journey. Yeah. And he had that person on there because it helped him with his breathing. Yeah. So now it's like,
cool.
Yeah. So as a rower, like a single rower, he needed to figure out how to breathe properly to make sure his, you know, his muscles are activated at the right time for the right stroke and everything else. And I think now the game has changed to where, you know, before it's like you had to go look at encyclopedias, look at textbooks and figure that out, where now you have these technicians who are really working with sports teams and individual athletes to be able to share that information and help them with their breathing, help them with their visualization, where I did that side by side because I was like, all right, I'm learning how to prepare for a game. This person would do a visualization before the game, and this is how they go about it. Yeah. And it's like, okay, let me try that. You know, and then try it and see like, okay, this works. So build that in my pregame routine. And this, you know, and then looking at NFL guys, looking at Daryl, what they did, and just trying to be a sponge to everything to make myself become that much better and to be able to take that to the next level.
And in the professional space, do do people keep secrets? Do they guard, this is my particular ritual, or this is the way I visualize, or the way I kick, or something like that?
I don't think they hide, but I think like some people are better at sharing advice than others.
Yeah.
I'm one to like understand like where I am in my career. So we run a small kicking school here in Canada. Like we have a kicker, punter, or snapper in all of the Ontario schools at the moment. And so I'm always trying to help them. This is what I do, right? This is how I prepare. This is how I do my pregame. This is how I do my pregame before I get to the stadium.
Yeah. And
share that knowledge. Some athlete, like it all depends on the type of relationship you have with them. But at the end of the day, it's like if you're not going to ask, then if you're not interested, I feel like I'd bore you with what I do. So like if the guy's like, hey, what do you do before game? Oh, I do this. Okay, like try it. Try before practice. That's how you're going to learn. It's like, and you test and check every practice, and it's like, okay, I can do this at the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. We find with sales reps, a lot of the time they'll do that thing where they approach the top dog and they're asking them all these questions, and they're always fishing for some like secret, like just one little thing that'll just make things turn on a dime and make them way better.
Absolutely.
Do you think any of those exist, or is it all kind of this continuum?
No, because like my kicking coach, he's he is one of the guys that absolutely loves kicking, loves helping kids and to get to that next level. And I learned from him. I learned from Daryl. Like, this probably better than anybody else too. It's like, if I want to get to his level, I need to know what he's doing.
Yeah.
And if I can replicate that, and if he's willing to share that with me, then that's my cheat code.
Yeah.
You've just lived 2, 3, 4, maybe 10 years of experience of door-to-door selling. You clearly know some of the mistakes or some of the things that I shouldn't go through.
Yeah.
Right. And that begins with like even setting up your talk when you go up to the door. Right. Understanding like what kind of person you're gonna get. Like if they have a dog, like how friendly you are with a dog.
Yeah.
But if you're scared of dogs, you like how many homeowners have dogs. So
it's a tough gig if you don't like dogs.
And a lot of people take care of their dogs a little bit more than their own kids, right?
You never know.
So it's like I've done door-to-door selling too. So it's like understanding how to be that personable person to like first ask for advice and like how do I treat the situation, because you've 9 out of 10 times that person's gone through that, and if you can minimize that mistake, then that's something you don't have to go through. Now you've just leveled up like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months faster than actually going all those days door-to-door selling.
Yeah, we stand on the shoulders of giants. As long as we ask those giants, how they grew so tall, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that saying.
So one thing I'm really interested to know, my only, I guess, experience with game on the line, and it's just me on the spotlight, is like basketball, like a free throw at the end of the game in like high school. So I'm interested to know it at the highest level. What goes through your head when the crowd is silent? Like when everyone's sitting there biting their nails, are you pep talking yourself in your head? Is it dead silent? Are you saying a prayer? Like what goes through your head?
So this goes back to that schooling we did at Western, and one of the professors in sports psych had said, you're in an empty gym, game's on the line, you make this to tie it, you got to hit another one to win it. And all of a sudden, your girlfriend's sitting in the stands, and the guy that you really hate, you just saw him walk into the building, is going to sit right beside your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so where's your mind at right now? You got 2 free throws to make, one to tie and another one to win it.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare yourself and your mindset to be able to leave that to the side? So there's one way to do this, right? So I'll answer that in terms of, because this can apply to any regular, like whether it's in business, whether it's for a presentation, whatever it may be. It's like we all have stuff that's going like around us that's not directly related to the task at hand.
Yeah, there's distractions.
And there's distraction, exactly. So how do I manage that? So the way he explained it, it's like whenever I have something going on at home or with my girlfriend, or if I see something, whatever it may be, something's not right, but I can't pay attention to that because I have a basketball game, or I have a job to do, or I have a door, like someone just texted me. Yeah. How do I put that mindset away so I can focus on the task? And it's literally, he explained, it's like you have to remove that thought from your head, right? So physically pretend to move that thought from your head, and I'm going to place it underneath this glass. So for this situation, so I'm going to leave it underneath there. So now if that distraction, say we'll use the basketball example, I'm shooting free throws, I've put that distraction on the line somewhere. So I literally grabbed it and put it down on the line.
Oh, interesting.
Or if it's before the game, I'm going to put this underneath my wallet, underneath like my lock or whatever it may be. But you physically know that thought is there. So
it's going to stay there.
It's going to stay there for this moment. So if I had something going on right now, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to put this thought right underneath this water. And I know throughout this whole podcast that when we're talking, if that thing creeps in my head at any time, I know, hey, park it there. Like I know when I'm ready, when I'm done with this podcast, I can pick up that thought again.
Interesting.
So I can put it on my cell phone. I can put it anywhere. But you know, it's just a little trick that you can use to like, I'm going to put that thought, a negative thought, the distraction there, so that when I'm done with this door or when I'm done with this call or this presentation, whatever it may be, I will physically go pick that up again and put it back in my head. So now I can put my right time and dedication to that actual thought.
That's really cool. And so why is the physical aspect so important? Because I've seen people, they'll do like memory tricks and stuff too, and they're always like, they're using their hands or doing weird things.
But I think it's just to give your mind, give yourself a peace of mind that when you know that that's there, that it's like, it's almost like, you know, this glass is there, right? So like, same as my thought's underneath this glass. So if that comes in my head, I know it's always going to be there. And so there's another sports psych that doctor from University of Victoria, and we're out there we're in BC playing the Lions. I think it was 2018, and the special teams coach at the time, Jeff Reinbold, had met with him because he was coaching for the Lions, and he's like, Lirim, I want you to meet this gentleman, sports psych. He's a professor at University of Victoria, does this and this and this. And so I just started talking with him. I'm like, listen, I'm having a great year. I missed 3 kicks, and we're probably like three-fourths of the season down, right? But those 3 kicks that I've missed, every single time something came into my mind right before I kick. So you talk about those distractions when it's a quiet stadium. That's like, quiet stadium is fine, but then it's always like some defender jumping up and down, saying something, trying to get you just to be distracted for that extra second. And so how do you keep that distraction? And he literally had a pen and a coffee cup. So he's like, if you have, your target is the coffee cup and your pen is distraction. So anytime the distraction comes into your mindset, it's trying to take over that coffee cup to be that target. So how fast can you change your mindset and focus on your target? So when I'm kicking, I'm focusing on a single target, or if as I'm walking back to prepare myself, I have one thought in my head, and then that could be, but I don't want to have more than one thought, right? So I want to be able to, like, something I'm working on that week, keep my head down longer, same as like in golf. Keep my head down longer, or open my wrist, or whatever it may be. You have that one key. So I'm thinking, keep my head down longer. Now, if I have a distraction of someone saying something, it's like, no, like, don't let that come distraction. Understanding that this pen is a distraction, but I don't want it to focus, like mess with my target. So how fast can I continue focus on my target and saying the one word of, like, keep my head down, hold my finish, like whatever that key word is for that day.
It's like a mantra sort of thing.
Like, So it's just like being able to just focus on the target versus the distraction. So there's 2 different ways to kind of handle these, and I've been fortunate enough, and like some of these things have happened just by chance. Some have happened through studying, but like, every time I'm trying to learn from the people above me, I've gone through this and just trying to build something from that, right? So
that's really cool. I never would have thought about that. My head keeps going to that scene in Harry Potter where they do that thing. I don't know if you watched that movie, where they pull the thoughts out and have them in that.
Is
that cool? So that's really cool. That part of it where it's physical, where I'm actually pulling it out, and it's like this object permanence thing. Like, it's over there. I know it's still there, and I can deal with it eventually, but it's away in its proper place.
And then you get better as you go through it more, because then it's like, but you have to remember to pick it up, right? So like, don't forget to pick it up, because then it's like, it's pointless, because it beats the purpose, right? So after the game, I'll go and pick it up and let it just practice. You can do it in practice, and then when it gets to the game, because like, especially for us, like in some of the bigger games, like you have people calling for tickets. You have people like, oh, I wasn't going to come, but I'm coming now. Right. Like, what are we doing after the game? What are we doing after the game? And blah, blah, blah. Like, how can you, and as you get older, you learn to manage those things and manage those distractions. And it's like using the people around you to be able to help you so you can focus on the game. So like, you're not, one of our coaches always said, you're not there to sell tickets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, give them the number. You know, we have a guy for ticket sales. He's like, if they need it, give them your discounts. Here it is. You know, you deal with it. I don't need to collect your payments. I don't need to collect your credit card. It's like, if you want to come to the game, here it is. Otherwise, like, and 4 hours before the game, I'm not answering a single text unless you're like my wife or my family. Like, that's not happening.
Yes, sir. A common theme from some of our top sellers is they'll just delete every single form of social media off their phone at the start of the day, and then just put it on like mute, right? But yeah, you can't have those distractions. I do want to go to, we have a couple audience questions from Instagram here.
Yeah.
And so the first one is Vantage hires a lot of athletes. So a lot of people, you know, first, second year university type thing. What advice do you have for them starting their sales or business careers?
I did it out of my, I think it was my third year. I did door-to-door selling. And they say 2 years of door-to-door selling is equivalent to a 4-year MBA. Usually most MBAs are 2 years, but a 4-year business degree. Right. And the reason I say that, because you really learn how to approach, because whether you do business, whether like, unless you're going to be like, if you have any aspirations to own a business or be high up in a company, you got to learn to be able to bring business in. And whether you're an athlete or you finish your business degree, you got to find ways to be personable, understand what their needs are and how you can help them. And I think this is like, gets you thrown right into the fire kind of way to like, and as athletes, I think we really aspire to that, because especially in football or basketball, whatever it is, you always have, you can't really prepare for things that are going to happen in the game. And same thing here. When you go there, you can knock. Sometimes you're going to forget what something where you're going to say. But it's like, how fast can you be on your feet to be able to sell yourself? And there's going to be doors where it's like, all right, I know that's not going to be a sale, but let me try something new. You know what I mean? Like, so I think athletes can really take advantage of these opportunities to better set themselves for the future. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have any sort of business development, sales type of acumen, it's going to be really hard for you to move up. Like if you look at the Big Four or any professional services firm, like I'm working for one right now too, it's like, unless you bring business in, you're not going to be an equity partner. Right. So, and then if you start your own company, like unless you bring business in, that company's going to go under. Right. And if you're trying to grow yourself and grow your brand, how are you going to market what the company does, how you're going to market what you do and what you think of it. Like there's so much that goes into play, and you'll learn so much on a day-to-day basis that by the end of it, you're going to want more because you get the fulfillment of like, I'm doing something that's going to better me for the long term. And if you can handle this for a whole summer, it's like, what else can't you handle? So I think if athletes are perfect people to go after, and even if you're not an athlete, like, if you have that competition mindset in your heart and in your veins that you want to do better for yourself and set up yourself for the future, like these opportunities, and it's all about, you know, as many as you can sell, it's like, that's how much more money you're going to make. If you don't,
it's directly proportional. Right?
How hard you work. If you want to knock on 10 doors, then you're going to knock on 10 doors. But if numbers don't lie, it's like, all right, every day, it's like, I got 8 sales today and I knocked on 50 doors. Okay, well, if I knock on 100, am I going to get 16? Right? So figuring that out, it's like the more I knock, maybe I walk a little faster. And there's going to be those days, like as the athletes, like you're hurting, right? You're hurting to like get up in the morning at like 5 a.m. runs. And it's about like, hey, you got to get up and do it, because when life hits you, like once you start getting a mortgage and having a family and all these things, it's like you got to get up whether you like it or not. So I think this prepares you to really take the next level of getting that hands-on experience. And that's why I really appreciated when I did it that one summer, that like the door-to-door selling, because it helped me prepare to start 2 other businesses and be able to succeed them. And I think it has helped me a lot to where I am today.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. The next one here is, so the NFL is very tumultuous. People change teams and all that stuff. And so how do you bounce back after, being cut from a team, and what is that like? Do you have to rebuild that confidence, or? Yeah,
I mean, it's tough. Like it's such a high and low type of, if you're not drafted out in the NFL and you don't have that guaranteed money as a free agent, like especially during COVID, it's like you get a call Monday morning right? At sometime between 9 and 12, and you got to be ready and packed by like 1 or 2 to catch a flight of 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it was really tough during COVID because you couldn't really cross the border.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. So we had the key one was I would get dropped off near the border. Is it the Whirlpool one? It's like right by the casino in Niagara Falls, and you can walk over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I'd literally get dropped off there, walk over, and then grab a cab from there to the airport in Buffalo, because it was a lot easier for me to fly to Buffalo than Toronto. And so I didn't have to quarantine, or my wife was dropping me off, or anybody else, like they wouldn't have to quarantine on the way back. Like the one time my wife went, literally we went through Buffalo, got dropped off, and then she came back like, yeah, you have to quarantine for the next 2 weeks. And it's like, I didn't even leave my car.
Yeah.
You know, but it was like, that was the rules back then. So you get this high of like, all right, what I'm doing is paying off. All the hard work that I'm doing is paying off.
Yeah.
And then you go to the workout, and then you might be the best guy, and you might not get chosen.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part, you know? And then it's like, oh, sorry, we're going to go with someone else today. That's fine. Like you can hear that, because sometimes it's like, if you know you miss one kick more than someone else, like you got to be true with yourself. Yeah. It's like, all right, he had a better day.
And do they try to raise the stakes too? Like, because they're trying to replicate and see how you'll do in a game time.
Oh yeah,
situation.
they'll throw everything at you.
Yeah.
They'll throw everything at you. They'll bring you in at 5 a.m. to go do your medicals, 6 a.m., make you wait, and by the time you get there, it's freezing cold. Go outside. All right, you have 20 minutes to impress us. We'll go through the kicks.
Yeah.
Like they'll put you through the ringer for those things. But and then like once you make the team, and it's like a couple times, like I went to Dallas. One was for COVID fill. One was like the guy wasn't, like I just come from injury, so they just had a bad game, so brought me in. It's like I made it, like Dallas Cowboys, man. Like I made it, and it's like it's huge, right? And it's like you go there, and then he hits a game winner, and it's like, hey, Lirim, can you meet me? And as soon as you get that call from like, it's like your heart just drops.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing everything you can. And that's the thing too. It's like you're doing everything you can, but it's just like our position is so different in the fact that like for kickers, like they don't really need someone to be on the practice roster, because they can call me right now and I can go kick.
Yeah.
So you're always like changing teams, but those calls really hit. But I think I use them as motivation to be like, I don't want to get that call again.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but it's all learning experience when it comes to that. And I think it's made me have tougher skin to be able to bring that to my business and my regular life.
Yeah, big carrot, big sticks.
Yeah.
We got to balance those.
Exactly.
Next one, and I guess we can do this as a two-parter.
Sure.
So, biggest moment of your career as a professional athlete, and then biggest moment kind of as a businessman.
Okay, so for athlete, can I have two, CFL, NFL?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so CFL obviously was actually hitting the game-winning kick in the snow up in Ottawa. And it was like 32 seconds left, 32 or whatever. Anyways, it was like less than a minute, and we needed the points to go ahead and win it. And that was kind of one of those moments where it's like you felt like everything. When you lift that Grey Cup, it felt like you're going down in history. Your name's always going to be on that trophy, and like everything you've done to this point, you can like rest be assured that you've made it, and all the reps were worth it. And then I think from the NFL perspective, when I signed with LA, that was my first contract. Like I was so hyped, like, you know, like I made it because I asked Ticast to release me, because there was a new CBA that was set. That's like, if you got a workout between December and end of January, that you were allowed to go. And unfortunately, that in 2019, they never signed off of it. Like they never like contractually signed off like the PA and that. And they're like, oh, so we literally played the whole season for that deal not being signed. It was just agreed upon. Oh, so then I was on this list on the NFL list that I wasn't allowed to work out because I still have another year of like on my contract. Yeah. So I missed on trying out for the Bears and trying out for Cincinnati.
Wow, just because of a paperwork.
I had my flights booked, everything booked, and then the night of, the director of player personnel, because my first workout was with Cincinnati, and I was training in California at the time, and he's like, Lirim, we can't fly you out. You're on this list of like CFL players exempt from this. That's horrible. Then that just like pissed me off, and then I went like, I went to town on that and just asked for my release, and luckily they granted me that release. And so I went to different camps to kind of showcase myself. And then when LA called, and like it was all over ESPN, like Rams have their kicker and blah blah. So like that was
cool. Yeah.
it felt like like it's a big stage. So it's like I was so excited, but that's for another time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And then last one is business career.
Oh, business.
Yeah.
Business, I think for me, like, is this the opportunity to, it's that grind aspect of a business, getting into fruition and getting into where you want it to be. So I had a meal prep company that I succeeded, and it was just like understanding what it takes to start the company, how to strategize for it, and then being able to scale it. Right. So I think that was one of my MBA projects when I was doing my MBA. And I think that was one of my biggest business things that I want to do for my, because I have an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
So I think that was a really cool opportunity for me to kind of start a company from A and be able to see it through to be successful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And we're coming close to the 1 hour mark. So
Yeah.
I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day.
I enjoy it. I appreciate that.
But we have a lot of people who are listening to this who are going to go into their first experience in the sales world, right? And it'll be a trial by fire.
Yep.
Most of them will go out there and knock doors, and I'm sure there's other people listening to this too. But what is your speech to them? What is your take-home piece of advice? If there's one thing you have to say to that person,
I think you're going to hear a lot more no's, and I can speak from this experience of going door to door selling, being in business today. Like I have an advisory role right now, which is based on our business development and growing that business. It's already 100 years old, so I'm just trying to make it even bigger than it already is. But also from sports, like the amount of no's I've gotten from NFL teams, CFL teams, because like coming from Canada, I might not have the expertise, American kicker, even though I played 6 years in the CFL.
Chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, you have a chip on your shoulder, but like you can't be deterred from someone saying no.
Yeah.
Like that should be fueled as a motivation. Because if every door you went to and they accepted the pest control business, if they've accepted the solar, accepted TELUS, it was TELUS, right?
Yeah.
Then what's the point of you being there?
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's that grind. It's that like if everyone said yes to all three of the service, don't you think every other person would do the same job?
You'd just be leaving voicemails.
Exactly. So it's like it's the fact that it's like it's that getting you to that point where it's like you do get that sale, and you're gonna get all these no, but when you do get that yes, it's like that dopamine rush. It's like, all right, that felt really good. I want to do it again.
Yeah.
So what did I do to make it? So like when you're starting out, I remember my first door that I went to knocked on, because we were doing air rating when I was in London. So it's like understand how to pitch it, and the more you study yourself, just like all these great athletes, if you fix your pitch a little bit better, the first day is going to be rough, but that's fine. There's next day.
Yeah.
Just trying to work on yourself and don't get bogged down by the no's, by the negative people, or, like don't be discouraged by all the negative things that happen, because if all these positive things happen in this world, then this world will be perfect and will be non-existent. So
yes, sir.
Take those to your advantage and grow yourself and grow your business.
Stick to it and get your MBA in sales. And
honestly, absolutely. I think I truly believe that, because you get to meet so many different people across the spectrum of homes, and being able to connect with them in those 10 seconds. And it's like getting to the point, and how can you help them? Because at the end of the day, it's like you're doing this for yourself and to put money in your pocket and get the experience in your pocket and be able to grow yourself. But at the end of the day, it's like those people are buying the product because of you, right? Because they can go and get solar systems from anybody else. They can go get pest control for someone else maybe, or same as TELUS. There's so much competition, but it's like you are the reason why they're signing up, and because you've convinced them that this is the deal of a lifetime. And they shouldn't miss out. And if I walk away, that you're going to miss out on this. Yeah, it's not going to happen again. So it's like finding ways to attract the customer to believe in you, not the
well, they're going to buy you at the end.
All right, I hope
right?
so.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, well, yeah. Again, I feel like I could sit here and talk to you all day, but we really appreciate you coming out here, and I know you're a busy man, so thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll have you back on here someday.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.